It is an honor to be here today with the Intertribal Association of Arizona. Vice Chairman Lewis, President Burnett, Vice Chairwoman Long, Vice Chairman Casey, distinguished chairpersons and vice chairpersons, governors and lieutenant governors, presidents and vice presidents, and honored guests, thank you for the invitation. It is my honor to stand before you today at the beginning of the second regular session of the 56th Legislature and on Indian Nations and Tribes Legislative Day. What a year it has been. We have worked together, made history together, pushed one another, and most importantly, strengthened state and tribal partnership, which had been deprioritized for years. Now, I think we can all agree it hasn't been easy. No problem or challenge we face can be solved overnight. But through persistence, care, and mutual respect, we have moved the needle forward on so many fronts. We've helped secure our water future. We have protected national monuments. We've started the process to connect every Arizonan to reliable broadband services. We've invested in future generations through infrastructure projects and education initiatives, and it's just the beginning. As a born and raised Arizonan, a social worker, a mom, and the sister of 2 public school teachers, these are the reasons I wake up every day to fight on behalf of Arizona. As we embark on this new year, one that will be filled with highs and lows, tough choices and compromise, it is my sincere hope that we never lose sight of why our fellow Arizonans bestowed on us the honor of representing them, and why we must always strive for progress and for a better tomorrow. With that, I am proud to share with you the progress we've made in the past year on many of these key issues, and just as importantly, I look forward to outlining the work before us in the months ahead. On day 1 of my administration, I revitalized the Governor's Office on Tribal Relations, which previously had only a single staff member working directly in the administration. I was proud to bring Jason Chavez, who you just heard from, of the Tohono O'odham Nation, and Donovan Carr of the Navajo Nation on board immediately, and they have continued to be key members of my staff. In the first year alone, we have grown the office by 500%, including hiring Valora Imus Nasanhoya of the Hopi tribe as the first ever state MMIP coordinator, and who has been critical in providing a robust and equitable response to the ongoing crisis. I've also had the honor and opportunity to welcome many of you to the 9th floor. At last year's Indian Nations and Tribes Legislative Day, you joined me at the Executive Tower, and I will never forget hearing from so many that you had never been invited to the governor's office, despite having served your communities for many years. You have my word. For as long as I am governor, you will always be welcome on the 9th floor. And while my door is certainly always open, I know how important it is to meet each of you in your communities. I discussed border security with former Chairman Ned Norris and members of the Tohono O'odham Nation Legislative Council. And recently, I had the opportunity to meet with Chairman Verlin Jose during my visit to the Lukeville Port of Entry. I celebrated 100 years of the Navajo Nation Council and became the first sitting governor to address the body in their chambers. I learned about history and traditions on the homelands of the Hopi tribe with Chairman and I discussed broadband and healthcare with Chairwoman Cordova during my visit to the Kokopop tribe. And I recognize the importance of accessible and quality healthcare at the bottom of the Grand Canyon with members of the Havasupai tribe. To those who have welcomed me into your homes, shared with me your family recipes, and educated me on your histories and traditions, These moments have been some of the most meaningful of my entire time in public service. To those I have not yet visited, I am eager to, and you can trust that I will continue to prioritize these trips as we work together on our shared priorities. The Governor's Office of Tribal Relations has already transformed the state's relationship with all of you, and it's critical that we are able to keep this momentum going. In fact, I stand before you just a short time before the office receives its first hearing in the House for continuation. As many of you will be meeting with legislators throughout the day, I urge you to communicate with them your support of this office. Together, let us make sure that tribal communities continue to have an active voice in our state government and foster a relationship we can pass on to the generations of changemakers that will come after us. There is much work ahead of us, and it's important to acknowledge the challenges we are up against. We face an approximately $850 million shortfall in the budget between this year and the next. And make no mistake, it will take all of us working together to solve this gap without harming Arizonans. The people of Arizona are counting on us, and we will not let them down. We will find common ground, focus on real solutions, and strengthen our state's balance sheet. You'll see the details on how I plan to address this gap when my budget is released later this week. We will rein in wasteful spending without sacrificing public safety and public education. We will establish guardrails on unaccountable programs without hurting hardworking families. And we will tighten our collective belts through increased efficiencies and innovation without gutting programs that support small businesses, seniors, and those in need. I look forward to working with leadership and members from both sides of the aisle in the months ahead to get the job done. Despite our budget issues, we have much to be proud of in our amazing state. Nowhere is it more apparent that the state of our state is ascending than in the unprecedented strength of Arizona's job market and the record investment in our economy. Let us celebrate that today, more Arizonans are employed than at any point in our state's history. This milestone is a testament to the hard work and commitment of our entrepreneurs and innovators, our community colleges and universities, tradespeople, and of so many who recognize the promise of Arizona. Just as impressively, our state has attracted $32 billion in foreign investment, more than California, Texas, or any other state in the nation. That $32 billion means jobs, jobs, and more jobs for working people here in Arizona. At the heart of economic strength is connectivity and the ability of every one of you to have access to reliable internet services. Last year, we announced a nearly $1 billion federal investment to expand broadband and immediately began outreach with tribal partners to hear from you all about the unique needs of your communities. These conversations have continued through our Interagency and Community Broadband Advisory Council, with representatives from the Intertribal Council of Arizona and the American Indian Policy Institute at Arizona State University. Together, we will connect every Arizonan and ensure that internet access is no longer a barrier for tribal communities. I was also proud to invest $1.5 million for a tribal connectivity project at the Arizona Department of Veteran Services, which will expand internet access so that those who have served our country are able to access critical programs and resources. Internet access is crucial for businesses, healthcare, and education, particularly for rural and tribal communities who are on the front lines of our rapidly changing economy. We must build fast, reliable, and affordable broadband access for every Arizonan, no matter where they live. It is critical that all of us continue to work together, just as we did when a bipartisan coalition of House and Senate members and several tribal leaders here today came together to pass both last year's budget and put a Prop 400 extension on the ballot. Rather than letting partisan politics prevail, we stood together, helped ensure the continued success of our state, and enabled more Arizona families to prosper. That's the power of finding common ground and doing what's best for the people of this state. And make no mistake, I will always put the people of Arizona first. That's why I have taken action to ensure that our strengthening economy provides opportunities for any Arizonan who wants to succeed. With our investments in Future 48 workforce accelerators, we will prepare thousands of Arizonans every year for jobs, building our nation's future in industries like semiconductors, renewable energy, and aerospace and defense. And my Build It AZ apprenticeship initiative aims to double the number of apprentices in construction and the trades to meet the needs of our 21st century economy. It's these programs, along with a strong higher education system and access to childcare, that will ensure more Arizonans have the ability to get a good job that supports themselves and their families. As you can see, our state's economy is strong and its opportunities are abundant. However, we cannot ignore the fact that for Arizonans across all age, color, and geographical boundaries, our housing affordability crisis has erased feelings of prosperity for too many. I have personally felt the fear and uncertainty of not knowing how you're going to make your next mortgage payment. And that's why I will always fight just as hard for your families as I fought for mine. And I'll never stop working to find solutions to the housing affordability crisis. This past year, I worked with the legislature to find new and effective ways to address this issue. We directed $150 million to keep more Arizonans housed through rental assistance programs. We allocated money to provide access to legal aid for up to 1 million more Arizonans who are facing eviction or housing instability. And we made a historic investment to create more housing that's actually affordable for middle-class Arizonans. Further, we accelerated the awarding of low-income housing tax credits that enabled the Department of Housing to maximize the building of affordable housing across the state. This particular effort directly led to 15 new affordable housing developments, half of which are in rural communities, building more than 1,000 housing units for working-class families who need them. I was born and raised in an Arizona where a middle-class family could buy their own home. And that should be the reality for the next generation too. But to make it so, we must take action. And that's why I announced the Arizona is Home Mortgage Assistance Program. This program will help working-class families throughout the state with down payment assistance and mortgage interest rate relief. That means a family of 4 living in Phoenix, making up to $75,000 a year, will have the opportunity to purchase a quality, affordable home. These actions should only be the first of many we take to help ensure longtime residents, young professionals, and middle-class Arizonans are protected from being priced out of the communities and state they love. We're also going to enhance homebuyer assistance for our state's rural communities by providing access to less costly home loans for working-class households. These are good, tangible steps to creating access to housing at affordable prices, but they alone will not solve the crisis across our state. So I look forward to working with the legislature to find innovative and effective solutions to help Arizonans access the homes they and their loved ones need to thrive. Of course, to discuss Arizona's future, we must also talk about water, how to protect what we have today, how to navigate the challenges ahead, and how to maximize opportunities when Mother Nature offers them. Thanks to the careful planning and bipartisanship of generations of leaders before us, Arizona is at the forefront of water conservation and innovation. Our state uses less water today than in the mid-1950s, even as our population has boomed. However, just because we've been successful in the past does not mean we can relax about the future. We can reject the doomsayers, but we must always have open and honest conversations about our water resources, not shy away because they can be difficult. But I know that none of you shy away from a difficult conversation, which is why you have played a huge role in some of the most impactful water negotiations our state has seen in years. It's also why I have made sure tribes will continue to have a seat at the table as we navigate the future. I was proud to appoint Justin Manuel, a member of the Tohono Nation, to the Central Arizona Water Conservation District Board. Responsible for delivering water to millions of Arizonans, Justin is only the second Indigenous person to sit on the board. I also appointed Governor Stephen Roe Lewis of the Gila River Indian Community, Chairwoman Amelia Flores from the Colorado River Indian Tribes, Chairman Robert Miguel of the Auction Indian Community, and Maria Dadgar from the Intertribal Council of Arizona, and Bida Becker as a representative of the Navajo Nation to all sit on my Water Policy Council. Their perspectives were key to ensuring the council's proposals took tribal needs into account. My administration also jump-started the water rights settlements discussions that had stalled under the previous administration. We made the historic decision to put an end to the policy position that prohibited tribes from taking lands into trust as a precondition of settling with the state. Now, as we continue working through the process, know that your ability to convert land into state trust will not be taken away from you. It is my hope that this change will help us all reach a fair and just settlements that should have been taken care of a long time ago. I will continue working with everybody, farmers and agricultural interests, urban and rural communities, local and regional entities, and the leaders here in this room today to find the solutions we need to ensure our water future is secure for tomorrow and for generations. There is no better example of this than the agreement I negotiated earlier this year with our neighbors, Nevada and California, to conserve at least 3 million acre-feet of water, enough for 9 million homes by 2026. With this historic agreement, we stood up to the federal government's egregious plan to slash Arizona's water, and we safeguarded our natural resources. But this is only a starting point. We've not put the decades-long drought in our rear-view mirror yet. We must always strive to do more through expanding public-private partnerships, increasing conservation, exploring new technology, and maintaining a steadfast commitment to strengthening protections where needed. The Bipartisan Water Policy Council I created last year, comprised of water leaders from across the state with a wide range of experience, including the leaders I just mentioned, has embodied this spirit with a series of common sense recommendations to secure our water future. For decades, rural Arizonans who have begged, demanded, and fought to protect their groundwater have been ignored. Now, after 40 years of waiting, it's time we finally take action and update our groundwater management laws. That's why we must have the courage to take action where others haven't, and empower rural Arizonans to have a say in how their water is used. And for too long, we have allowed development that skirted our smart and common sense consumer protections for water availability. We must close the loopholes that allow build-to-rent and wildcat developments to avoid our water planning requirements. Our water rules give families and businesses confidence to invest in our state, and we cannot continue to let individuals and corporations exploit these loopholes and rob us of our water future. We all recognize that our state is growing, and we must continue to adapt while maintaining our long-held status as a national leader in water management. Our water standards are the key to our strong economy. I refuse to sacrifice them for unchecked growth. But I will also continue in Arizona's bipartisan tradition of growing our economy while protecting our state's most precious resource. In that vein, I have directed the Arizona Department of Water Resources to finalize a new pathway for water providers and communities who have historically relied on groundwater resources. This new alternative designation of water resources program will provide an opportunity for these entities to achieve a 100-year assured water supply by contributing new water sources and reducing groundwater pumping, which will help ensure our future growth is both smart and sustainable. Let us remember that water and drought do not care about party registration or job titles, or whether you live in an urban or rural community. We can only protect our water supply by working together. I stand ready to work with the legislature to pass legislation that makes the changes we need today, all to safeguard Arizona's water for tomorrow. And I've been clear and loud that if others refuse to act, I will. I was born and raised in Arizona, and I chose to raise my family here. My kids attended public schools, and I'm the sister of 2 public school teachers. I know what having a high-quality public education can mean to millions of Arizonans, but sadly, we too often fall short. We must continue investing in our public schools to ensure that Arizona truly is the best place to raise a family. So I applaud the bipartisan group of legislators who did the right thing to pass an override to the aggregate expenditure limit last year, providing certainty that schools would stay open and kids would continue learning. And I stand ready to work with legislators to find a permanent solution going forward. In addition to the AEL override, we also worked together to find bipartisan solutions to further support our public schools, including a $300 million infusion for K-12 schools. Let's build on that success and send an even stronger Prop 123 to the voters, one that will provide our public schools another decade of funding certainty. Without question, we must give teachers a raise. But we must also hear the Arizonans asking us to do more. Let's take this opportunity to increase compensation for teachers and the support staff who are all critical for a student's success. And let's take the necessary steps to invest in school safety. I look forward to collaborating with all of you to move these solutions forward. By working together to strengthen Prop 123, we will prove to Arizona parents and students that we're building the world-class public education system they deserve and that our state needs for the future. We must not let this opportunity pass us by. In this upcoming session, we must also address the long-term health of our K-12 schools, which means we must address the lack of accountability and transparency in Arizona's ESA program. We have seen a steady stream of news coverage around unacceptable and sometimes downright outrageous use of taxpayer money under this program, including water park admissions, ski passes, and luxury car driving lessons. It is our responsibility as stewards of this state to put in place guardrails to ensure taxpayer dollars dedicated to education are used properly. Without these guardrails, waste, fraud, and abuse take root and thrive. That's why we must take action to bring transparency and accountability on behalf of Arizona parents and all taxpayers. We can deliver common sense solutions like ending the luxury spending, keeping our children safe by requiring background checks for educators, and expanding the authority of the Auditor General. Additionally, let's require recipients to have attended a public school for at least 100 days, a reasonable standard that would save our state $250 million. My message to parents across Arizona, whether your family takes part in this program or not, now is the time to advocate for accountability and for transparency, not a blank check. If we fail to do so, the current projected price tag of $1 billion is only the start. Turning our attention to higher education, our state universities continue to lead the way in innovation, pushing boundaries and helping more Arizona families achieve their dreams. This can be seen in our AZ Healthy Tomorrow initiative, which will produce over 2,500 more healthcare professionals every year. Working together, we will create a new generation of doctors, nurses, and healthcare professionals while offering communities across our state badly needed access to healthcare. We are early in this journey, but we should be proud of our state universities for their steadfast efforts to build a better tomorrow for Arizona. I'm calling on the legislature to work with me to begin a new engineering-focused medical school at Arizona State University, to double the size of University of Arizona medical schools, and to start a new medical school focused on serving rural and tribal communities at Northern Arizona University. As someone who had to work my way through college and who wouldn't be here today without the help of scholarships and financial aid, ensuring that higher education is attainable for any Arizonan who wants it is personal to me. And I know everyone here today recognizes the importance of making higher education as accessible as possible. I'm proud of the progress we've made in this area through securing significant investments in tribal colleges, including Dene College, Tohono O'odham Community College, and San Carlos Apache College, as well as new funding for community colleges in rural Arizona. But we must also recognize that many of these actions have been one-time investments. We must seize the opportunity as our budget outlook improves in future years to strengthen support for efforts such as scholarship programs for students from low-income households, programs that provide students the opportunity to earn college credits while still in high school, and other initiatives that offer students the chance at a better future through education. Supporting Arizona families also means protecting our loved ones throughout their time on this earth. No doubt there are many wonderful facilities providing high-quality care for our fellow Arizonans. However, I am saddened and infuriated that too many long-term care facilities are failing some of the most vulnerable with devastating effects. Physical and mental abuse, neglect, exploitation, and poor quality of care have severely hurt, and in some tragic cases, led to the deaths of too many Arizonans. And what's the penalty in these cases? It's a $500 fine. This is unconscionable. We are also outraged, I know many of you in this room are, at the separate but just as infuriating sober living home scandal that has ruined countless lives and cost taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm proud that we have taken action to crack down on this fraud, and I commend Attorney General Mays for investigating those who are exploiting some of our most vulnerable residents. The individuals behind these scandals will be held accountable, but it is also apparent that we need to provide additional tools to go after bad actors who take advantage of those in need. That's why I'm calling on the legislature to strengthen our state's standards for sober living homes and long-term care facilities and significantly increase penalties for bad actors. I am putting forward a package of bills that will ensure facilities cannot hide or erase their violation history, increase fines, standardize inspections, empower adult protective services to seek emergency protection orders, and establish standardized credentials for Alzheimer's, dementia, and memory care. Protecting Arizonans in long-term care and sober living facilities shouldn't be a partisan issue. I'm hopeful we can move this legislation forward and continue to seek solutions so we can ensure every resident is able to live in safety, free from neglect, abuse, and exploitation. But I know this issue is far from over. I recognize the residual effects this crisis has had on you, your loved ones, and your communities. And I know the challenges in your communities won't stop when these bad actors go away. Today, I recommit to each of you to not stop working until access to quality health care and other basic needs are commonplace for tribal communities. Supporting Arizona families also means ensuring that our children have access to high-quality health care. Unfortunately, federal efforts that raised so many kids out of poverty just a few years ago are phasing out, but the needs and rising costs for parents are just as tough as ever. No family should have to go bankrupt to care for a sick child. To combat this disturbing trend, we expanded kids' care eligibility for thousands of Arizona children, enabling them to receive the care they need, whether it's routine checkups or life-saving procedures, without forcing their parents into mountains of debt or heartbreaking GoFundMe campaigns. And I'm looking forward to continuing to find new and innovative ways to lower the cost of doctor visits, medical exams, and other quality of life measures that will provide relief for Arizona families today. Another area where we can provide relief and make a huge difference in the lives of Arizona families and seniors is by driving down the price of prescription drugs. And that's why I strongly urge the legislature to support my forthcoming proposal that stops price gouging middlemen in our healthcare system from overcharging for prescription drugs, requires justifications for price increases so Arizonans aren't hit with surprise costs, and establishes the new Prescription Drug Affordability Division, which will cap prices on commonly used drugs like insulin and prevent outrageous price hikes. These measures will help every Arizonan and ensure no one ever has to choose between paying for rent or paying for life-saving medication. I believe that fighting for Arizona families is the foundation of what we do as elected officials. And I truly believe that fighting for Arizona families means defending every individual's right to make their own reproductive healthcare decisions. I speak for millions of Arizonans with a clear message. These deeply personal decisions should be made between a woman and her doctor, not politicians and the government. I will always defend Arizonans' freedoms, and I refuse to back down in the face of those who want to criminalize doctors and outlaw abortion. That is not happening on my watch. Instead, there are common sense bills we can pass right now that will expand access to reproductive health care. Arizonans across the political spectrum agree that we should repeal the 1864 abortion ban once and for all, pass the Right to Contraception Act, and stop government overreach that invades women's privacy by collecting and publishing data on every abortion in Arizona. As I have said before and will continue to say again and again, reproductive freedom is not a partisan issue. Women deserve to have access to the health care we need. We deserve to have our individual rights protected. And we deserve to make the personal decisions we deem best for ourselves and our families. Now is the time to do what's right and pass these critical policies. Now is the time we stand up for Arizona families. I've used our time together today to highlight just a few of our successes from the past year, the incredible strengths of our state, and the steadfast resolve of its people. And we have started what should always be an honest discussion about the significant issues, choices, and opportunities that stand before us. As we go forward into this legislative session, let us always remember why we are here and what binds us all together as Arizonans. We are bound by our love for this state, from its beautiful forests and mountains to its breathtaking vistas and stunning natural beauty. and we are bound by our responsibility to ensure every person who calls this place home has the opportunity to succeed today, as well as the generations who follow us. My promise to you is that I will never lose sight of why we are here, and I'm confident that what binds us together gives us the strength to overcome any challenge. Thank you for supporting your fellow Arizonans and for working to make this the greatest state in our nation. God bless Arizona, and let's get to work.